So this is Baruch, and it's time. Let me see where I got my microphone here. 1 second. And it's time for us to look at the Tikunei Zohar again. It's very exciting, all of these different ideas, and I want to repeat which I said in the last year, that I don't expect we're going to have thousands and thousands of people that are being able to plug into this. But there are people that can and want to. And basically, this is a lot of material that I don't know that well, except I have background. So for an American guy here saying this to the American Kabbalah Network, this is the best I could do, is try to bring us over here. Now, we're over here on page, really we're on page Zion, but this little shtickle starts on page Vav in the Tikunei Zohar, and this is the Hakdama of the Tikunei. Now, what we have up above are the words of Rebbe Shimon. So Rebbe Shimon, in that cave, is writing down these words. Now, the words, as I said, I think last year, is they're pithy, very few words, and sometimes there were ringer words in these that don't fit. In other words, there's a word, I call it a ringer. And this is like something that doesn't fit in, but it happens to me, maybe it's pivotal. And so for those who are looking at it more closely, that may be the idea. So he says, this is what the Rebbe Shimon writes. Ve'ilas al kola. So what is really more important than everything is Yeshiv Roshus L'Kol Shemachim Kadishin, is to give permission to all of the holy names, L'Kol Havayin, and all of the Havayas, the different variations. We have 4 of them in the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, the L'Kol Kinuim, and all of the different nicknames, or what's the right word, substitute names, the Galal Lon Razin Tamira, to reveal to us their secrets. Who's doing this? He said below Yahib Rishus L'Kol Shemachim, there's permission to the names themselves. And all of the Havayas, all of the Kinuim of the Havayas, the Galal Lon, to reveal themselves Razin Tamirin. That's the way I'm translating it. Hidden secrets. Kol Shem B'darka Delay. So each one of them, the names, is a different level. The question of what the levels are, that's a whole question. So he said, going on, and he said, Rishusa Yehiv La'azer Sfiron. So look what he says. He says that permission is given to the 10 Sfiros. And we're talking about panemius of reality, the incipients of reality in Olam Atzilus. So Rishus Yehiv La'azer Sfiron, the Galal Lon Razin Tamirin, the Lo Is Yehiv Rishus, the Galal Lon. So what has not been previously given permission, now there's permission for the spheros to reveal themselves. That's the way I'm understanding. Ad the Yese Dara de Malko Mashiach. And so now this is what we're going to get until the time of the coming of the Mashiach. Now let's read the blurb of the tiv on it. Not the tiv. We did the tiv already. This is actually the Kesef HaKavod, and once again, this is the Hatzera Yeshiva Nariya, and these guys are really serious scholars. So the Ilus al Kulo Hu or Ein Sof al Malbush Ba'ach. So Ilus here means the most panimi part is the light, whatever that means, of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Yehib Rishus L'Kol Shemachim Kadishin. Nosim bezos reshus l'shemas hagedosha she'enim nimchakim. So they are named. We're talking about Yud Kei Vav Kei, etc. That you're now. These are the most panimistic words or names. We have no permission to erase them. L'Kol Havyon, and all the different Havayas. Ki Yud Beitz Rufi Shem Havaya Baruch Hu. So there are 12 different kinds of combinations that you can have of the Havaya. L'Kol Kinuim. What's Kinuyin mean? Hashemas HaNimtachim. These are names which are holy names, but you can understand them as they are able to be. You could erase them. The Galal, to reveal their inner secrets to us, Razin Tamira, because there are secrets inside of the secret. Lagalas the Rashbi, so he says the permission is given to reveal to Rashi, V'lecha B'sivta, and the other Yeshivalite, Shalo of his yeshiva, so this Tamirim's different hidden secrets. But the Tzorah Gilo Yasodas, so for the purpose of revealing these sodas, Hofia Hashem is Ba'atzma Bebeis HaMikdash. The names itself make Beis HaMedrash. he says that the names themselves appear in the Beis HaMedrash. V'kol shem hashpia lechem hasodas na'olamim bo. So as they appear, then all of them, they mashpia, they pour out the secrets that are hidden inside of them. B'darga delay, in its own level, k'fi madrigaso ubechinaso, according to the different levels. Now, I had gone over here, and I started a little bit, and I made a point to look at number Lamed Daled down below. Let me see if I can bring this down a little bit more. I'm not sure how to do this. About there, as best I can do. Look at the Indian Gimel Habechinos. So, in regards to these three different aspects that he's talking about. Shemahan, their names. Havayin, that's the Havayos and the Kinuim. So he says, Reham Ramak. So right at Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, Shoetzia Kama Derochem Bebir Havchonos Ben Gimel Levachinas Halalo Vesibas Hakdamasu Zumazu. Excuse me, let me translate. He says that he shows us the three different paths, Bebir Hanchagas being how these three different aspects are, which are what? The names. Let me say where they are again. There are the names. Here they are. We're up above. I'm reading up above. So he says, yeah, here we go. Shemahan Kadeshin, that's over here. Ulukol Havyan, all the different names, that is the Havayos. Ulukol Kinuyim, and all of those names, which he had said in the Pirish are those names which could be revealed, and those can be erased, and those which can't. Now let's go on. Why is it that the Shemos come first, then the Havayos, and then come the Kinuyim? So what he's trying to say is, he says that the nature of these is that they clothe each other. In other words, the Kinuyim are wrapped, they wrap around the Havayos, and the Havayos around the Shemos. Now, what's the difference between the Shemos and Havayos? I don't know. So, Gimel Bechina Amalvishan Zubazu. Gimel Bechina Spheros. There are three different aspects Spheros. The aspects are Kinuyim Malbishim al Shemos, V'Hashemos Malbishim al Havayos. That's what he said. Uvatam Hagdamas Shemos the Havayos, and the reason why we saw when he originally wrote it that the name Shemos comes first before the Havayos, we have a question on that. Because of it, this is what he writes: the Hiyosach of Havayos Ne'olome, because the Hayos are hidden. Ne'olomim Ma'or Bilti Musak. In other words, their light is hidden in such a way that you can't see them. Ela Mechuyev Mitzad Mitzius Hashemos, but you have to have them in there because we have these names that carry them. Lechem Hekdim Hashemos, so therefore he says the Shemos first. So it was saying like this, or paraphrase what I think he said. Let me read a little bit more. Kimin Hashemos Yoshev Yusku Havayos. So before you can get to Havaya, what he's saying is that you have to get to the name first. So therefore he says their names, V'Havayin, and they're the Havaya that's inside of them. V'Acha Kinuyim, and after that the substitute name, which would be the last part or the most outside part. V'ayin showed od drachim bebira Indian. So let's go over and see more drachim in this. V'ayin showed od shalchi dibra maskul kol shem bedaga delay derek Sefes bebir. So he says gimel bechina shemahon havian v'kinuyim v'kad mimosa v'kad misan zulazu. Okay, let's go on a little bit more, and let's see if we can get a little bit more. So over here, I'm going to go back up. I got to move my page around because we're looking at small letters. So he says l'kol havayin, and he says l'kol kinuyim. Here's where we're at. Legalon lon rozim temiran, in order to be able to reveal from them hidden secrets. Let's look at number Lamed Hey, which is at the bottom here. See if I can get up a little bit. Here's Lamed Hey. He says, Kagon, Chanan v'rachum, Erikapayim v'rav chesed, al pi ber l'chai layi. Now, what does that mean exactly? Kagon. V'ayin sham shenoise v'noise b'bir hagderosim shal shemas l'oilam l'umas kinuyim v'sof devarav mitzayim l'gemara b'shvuos yisecha b'inda d'shemas hamnimchachim she'enu v'she'enam v'zel l'shana. So let me go back and try to translate this better. I didn't do a good job. So he says, this is how we want to start. First thing he says is Chanum v'Chanum Erikapayim. So these are the names of Kinuyim, I think. He said Al Pi Ber L'Chai Yochrovi, which is a sefer. V'ayin Sham Shenoise v'Noise. That goes back and forth. B'Bir Hagdarasam, in order to understand the different boundaries between them. Shel Shemas L'Ulam Kinuyim, of the names, between the names, or what's considered to be a Kinui. Ubesoch Adavara Mitzayim, the Gemara b'Shvuos. So, in the middle of what he said, he points out this Gemara in Shavuos. Those names which are erased, and those that are not. Yesh shemesh nimchahu, v'yesh shemesh ein nimchahu. Elohim shemesh ein nimchahu kogon, Kael, Elokacho, Elokim, Elokechem. These are names that you don't erase. Ekya, Asher Ekya, Aleph. So this name Aleph Dalid. I get it, Aleph Dalid K, Aleph Dalid Yud. I guess that's Aleph Dalid Yud K. That's Ekya. Shakai, Tzvakois, Hare Elo and Nimchachim. Now this is the Gemara over there. These we do not erase. He said, those are the descriptions, adjectives. Ha'adir v'chachaza v'cha'ametz ha'azuv chana v'rachum erikapayim v'rav chesed hare elo nimchachim. These are names which are adjectives or descriptions, and they can be erased. Now we can also point out what seems to be the opposite when we come over to the Gemara. The Gemara again. He said, "V'zel l'shoda v'nokev sham mosiv mos yumas." So v'yochu lo yehei chayav ela al shem hamayuchad bilvad. So he says, according to that. So the nokev, I'm not sure what that meant in the Gemara over there. Sham mos yumas. Okay, so I guess it points out over there. He points out like the word. I'm not sure, the nokev. He says that sham mos yumas, that on saying erasing these, you could die from it. Yochel lo yehei chayav ela al shem hamayuchel bilvad. So therefore, it comes out that a person is only chayav if he's using the specific name itself. Minayim the Rabbah is called the Kinuyim Talmud Lomar. So where do we understand that this is to include all the Kinuyim? Lomar ish ki yikalel elokov mikol makom. So a person that curses Hashem wherever he does this. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he said, but he's quoting over here, and I'll keep going. So then he brings Rashi. The Hainu kinui the love shem abiyucha. That is a nickname or a substitute name that is not the name itself. Mashbe the devoch of Shem Elokim. Nechshav af hu kinui v'rak Shem beforish hu Shem mamash v'lo kinui. So he's going back and forth with different ideas that Elokim itself is not one of the names that can't be replaced, but Yud Kei Vav Kei is. Gemara Sham, and also you can look at the rest of that Gemara. It says, "V'chachamim omrim al Shem hamiyucha b'misa." That is the name Yud Kei Vav Kei and its various branches. That is with the death penalty. V'al kinuyim v'al schara, and then the substitute names. There with a warning. B'vucha b'dukal l'shem b'schutz b'shem b'vaya heim b'klal kinuyim ein sham called Maso. So over there you can see all the rest of it. So let's go on a little bit more, just a little bit more. We are short on time. So he said number Lamed Zion, so we go over here. Havayot Kinuim, Rozim Temirim. So inside of them are hidden secrets. He said over here now in this Lamed Zion. He says, Ki B'darche HaSaga. So as we tried to understand this, Yeshno Derachim Shonus called Echad V'Archon. So there's all different kinds of paths here, or each one according to its own way. Shemekabel Chazagasa, O Al Yedera B'Malach, O B'Emsos Kol Shem Kol Shel Tzadikim Haboim His Chaverim B'Chol the Galus L'Chol Razi Torah. Now let me translate. That's come from the Ber L'Chai Loi. So he said, let me read it again. So we understand there's different ways to understand it, called Echad V'Darcho. So these ideas, what he has learned, that he actually learned this through a malach, or through the medium of the voice of tzaddikim, his chaverimo, that come to join together with him. Now I'm thinking that he's talking about Rebbe Shimon. Now remember that we're always talking about, we're looking in here at quotes. So it completes, he completes this, and he goes to the Muva B'Shari Yechudim, B'Zechel L'Shono. Because Zechel Ba'al Adam Im Ose B'Torah. So all of this comes to a person if the person is learning Torah L'Shma. The Oz Efsher Sheyase B'His Galo Elov Ezer Desham Nishmas Tzadik Ma'osam Shem Meshurish Nishmasa. Now let's get this idea, he says, the concept of this communication that he's talking about, which comes from the Most High to an individual who is learning Torah. Ba'al Adam, that is these malachim, or these voices of the tzaddikim that are attached to his soul. That's what he's going to say. Because Adam, im osip Torah lishma, because a person really interested in getting to the kernel of the Torah, those efsher, that then it's possible, sheyasig, that a person should be able to reach, v'yizgala alav ezen nishmat tzaddik, that he the nishmat tzaddik, that the person, as he's learning the Torah lishma, he's actually able to attach himself to the neshama, the tzaddik ma'osim shehem meshorsha, from those meshorish nishmasa, because he's saying us making a statement. He says that when you're learning Torah lishma, there's actually tzaddikim, neshamas of tzaddikim, that are attached to you. You don't realize this because we're in a dark place. But we have Gilgolim that are beyond us, or that are attached to us, that came along down. It could be family members, or it could be, I don't know what. Shehem Meshorish Nishmasa. They come from the root of the person's soul. He says, Oh, She'asa Eze Mitzvah, or let's say like a person did a certain mitzvah, Hamisyaches La'osa Tzadik, which has something relative to do with that particular tzaddik. And as a result of that, the person starts learning so. So we find over there in Shara Yehudim, the Lashon of the Tikunei Khan, Rishusa is Yehiv, that permission is given. I remember he said if permission was given to the names themselves. Legalos loan Razin Tamira, in order to be able to reveal from those names hidden secret. Re'od b'shar v'cha kodesh perik aleph. Now there's more to be said about this, but we're going to stop today as we're going a little bit over. This is Baruch Fleischman, Erev Shabbos, 15th day of Av, at the Tikkun Elevator Call.